Mediocre concepts in TensorFlow. Basic tensors. Description. Understanding and using tensors. The fundamental building blocks in TensorFlow for creating and manipulating data. Operations. Creation. TF. Constant. TF. Zeros. TF. Ones. Basic operations. Addition. Subtraction. Multiplication. Division. Reshaping. TF. Reshape. Indexing and slicing. Neural network basics. Description. Building and training simple neural networks using TensorFlow's TF. Keras. Components. Layers. TF. Keras. Layers. Dense. TF. Keras. Layers. Conv 2D. TF. Keras. Layers. ReLU. Loss functions. TF. Keras. Losses. Categorical cross entropy. TF. Keras. Losses. Mean squared error. Optimizers. TF. Keras. Optimizers. SGD. TF. Keras. Optimizers. Adam. Example. Implementing a basic feed-forward neural network. Training the network on a simple dataset e.g. Must. Data loading. Description. Using TensorFlow's data loading utilities to handle datasets. Tools. TF. Data. Dataset. Features. Custom datasets. Data augmentation. Batch loading. Example. Loading and preprocessing the CIFAR10 dataset. Model evaluation. Description. Evaluating the performance of neural networks using common metrics and techniques. Metrics. Accuracy. Precision. Recall. F1 score. Techniques. Train validation split. Cross-validation. Example. Implementing a validation loop to monitor model performance. Transfer learning. Description. Leveraging pre-trained models for new tasks by fine-tuning them. Models. MobileNet. Inception v3. ResNet 50. Techniques. Freezing layers. Fine-tuning specific layers. Example. Fine-tuning a pre-trained MobileNet model on a custom dataset. Saving and loading models. Description. Techniques for saving and loading TensorFlow models for reuse and deployment. Methods. TF. Keras. Models. Save model for saving models. TF. Keras. Models. Load model for loading models. Model. Save weights and model. Load weights for saving and loading model weights. Example. Saving a trained model and loading it for inference. Basic GPU usage. Description. Utilizing GPUs to accelerate training and inference. Tools. TF. Config. Experimental. Set memory growth. TF. Distribute. Strategy. Techniques. Moving models and tensors to GPU with. To GPU. Handling multi-GPU setups with TF. Distribute. Mirrored strategy. Example. Training a neural network on a GPU. Basic custom loss functions. Description. Creating custom loss functions for specific tasks. Implementation. Define a function or a class inheriting from TF. Keras. Losses. Loss. Implement the call method. Example. Implementing a custom loss function for regression tasks. Model debugging. Description. Techniques for debugging and troubleshooting TensorFlow models. Tools. Print statements. TensorFlow Debugger TFDBG. TensorFlow Profiler for performance analysis. Example. Identifying and fixing issues in a neural network model. Activation functions. Description. Understanding and using various activation functions in neural networks. Functions. TF. Keras. Layers. ReLU. TF. Keras. Layers. Sigmoid. TF. Keras. Layers. Tonnage. TF. Keras. Layers. Leaky ReLU. Example. Comparing the effects of different activation functions on model performance. Regularization techniques. Description. Implementing basic regularization techniques to prevent overfitting. Techniques. Dropout. TF. Carers. Layers. Dropout. Weight decay. Adding L2 regularization via TF. Carers. Regularizers. L2. Example. Adding dropout layers to a neural network. Learning rate scheduling. Description. Adjusting the learning rate during training to improve convergence. Schedulers. TF. Carers. Callbacks. Learning rate scheduler. TF. Carers. Optimizers. Schedules. Exponential decay. Example. Implementing a learning rate scheduler in a training loop. Basic custom datasets. Description. Creating custom datasets by extending the TF. Data. Dataset class. Steps. Define a generator function. Use TF. Data. Dataset. From generator to create the dataset. Example. Creating a custom dataset for image classification. TensorBoard integration. Description. Using TensorBoard to visualize training progress and model performance. Tools. TF. Carers. Callbacks. TensorBoard. Features. Logging scalar values. Visualizing model graphs. Tracking training metrics. Example. Integrating TensorBoard into a TensorFlow training script. Basic augmentation techniques. Description. Applying data augmentation to improve model generalization. Libraries. TF. Image. Techniques. Random cropping. Random flipping. Normalization. Example. Applying augmentations to the CIFAR10 dataset. Functional API. Description. Building complex models using TensorFlow's functional API, which allows for nonlinear model architecture. Features. Creating models with multiple inputs and outputs. Sharing layers. Example. Building a model with shared layers and multiple outputs. Model callbacks. Description. Using callbacks to customize the training process in TensorFlow. Tools. TF. Carers. Callbacks. Early stopping. TF. Carers. Callbacks. Model checkpoint. TF. Carers. Callbacks. Reduce LR.